This weekend is a free fishing weekend starting Saturday. Play by the rules. It's going to be a blast. Jason Mannity is here. You got to check out his website, getfishing.ca. I want to thank you, Jason, for being here. How's fishing going?
Oh, it's been fantastic, Greg. Everything's been biting.
How are lakes in Saskatchewan looking right now? The LJ isn't too bad yet?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because we were out in the Qu'Appelle chain of lakes. We're starting to see what looks like some grass clippings in the water. Things are still pretty good. The cool weather we've had to this point really helps keep the LJ at bay. With what we're going to be getting this week, we may be starting to see some blooms pop up rather quickly. Water levels in the south generally pretty good, what they call within summer ranges. When you go farther north, especially the extreme far north, water levels are quite low up there. So the challenge there is, those rocky lakes, there may be rocks in places you don't expect them because before your prop would miss them. Now, got to be a little careful.
With LJ bloom, how does that affect your fishing?
It's interesting because it can actually, particularly for most people's favorite fish, the walleyes, it can really turn them on because walleyes have, of course, those giant eyes that are light sensitive. Sometimes in clearer lakes, they will limit their hunting or good bite, if you will, hours to dawn and dusk. But when you get a little bit of LJ cover, it makes it a little darker down there, and they're hunting all day. So it could mean really, really good walleye fishing throughout the day, even in shallow water, like less than 10 feet.
Jason Mannity, my guest. Free fishing weekend coming up on Saturday. There are a few rules you got to stick by, but what are they?
There's a whole host of rules that you can find in the Angler's Guide if you go to saskatchewan.ca/fishing or go to our Facebook page, Mannity's Get Fishing. But in general, it revolves around the limits of what you can keep. So, for example, for walleye, you're only allowed 4 per person. Only one can exceed 55 centimeters. When it comes to some other lakes, we've got lakes that have special regulations. For example, Buffalo Pound, you're only allowed to keep 10 perch, whereas other places you're allowed to keep 25. And the reason for that is, we're near a couple of big urban centers, and that helps sort of, protect that fishery from overharvest. You got to know the rules of that, and you got to know what you're catching and keeping. And the nice thing about the Angler's Guide, Greg, is it shows you what all the fish look like. There's kind of a little diagram of what a perch looks like versus a walleye versus a pike. Very, very helpful, particularly if you're doing this for the first time.
Jason Mannity, he's got a great website, getfishing.ca. My first ever fish at Echo Lake when I was a kid was a perch coming out of the water. And honestly, with a free fishing weekend, there might be some little fishermen who, for the first time, the likelihood of a perch is there, isn't it?
100%. The nice thing about perch and kids, they literally go hand in hand because perch, while they are a smaller fish, they tend to school up, and they like to hang out near shore in those weeds. So they're very accessible to the shore angler. And all you need to do to have a better chance of catching them, particularly if it is getting a little weedy, is you got to just get those baits up off the bottom. So if you put one of those little clip-on bobbers above your small jig, put a little worm on it, just throw it out, watch the bobber. When it goes down, set the hook and bring them in. That's totally what I'd recommend for a lot of people, particularly if you don't have a boat this weekend.
There are those who might be having a company come in from out of province who love fishing. If you could, where would you take someone for the ultimate Saskatchewan experience?
That is a very challenging question, Greg. Really kind of depends what you're going for. But I have to say, if you want to catch, a really big walleye and a big pike, possibly in the same day, you got to take them up to Tobin. You can get both in the same day, and that's the place where the ice fishing world record 18.3-pound walleye came out of. You're close to the tree line there, so you're flirting with northern Saskatchewan. It's just a really, really cool experience. Even around, Regina Moose Jaw, Buffalo Pound is still really, really good at this time of year. But if you want that incredible northern experience, you've probably got to get them up to north of Prince Albert. That La Ronge region, incredible scenery, incredible water. Very little LJ up there, so it's all swimmable. It's amazing.
On a free fishing weekend, that's great information. And Jason, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
For sure, Greg. Thank you for the opportunity.